Salut à toutes et à tous, on se retrouve pour la suite de notre aventure dans ce Londres désolé. Et nous étions à l'hôpital toujours. Et on devait parler avec plein de gens. On va essayer de discuter avec tous les gens du coin, voir ce qu'on apprend sur eux. Il semblerait qu'il se passe des choses plus ou moins bizarres dans cet hôpital après tout. Allez, cassons-nous d'ici. Toujours en courant, hein, toujours. C'est un peu triste, mais c'est comme ça. C'est bien, on récupère pas mal de trucs. C'est une très bonne nouvelle. Bon, il y a un peu de tout dans cet hôpital. Alors, on va essayer de faire connaissance avec les gens de l'hôpital. Bah, si je les trouve par contre, hein, je sais pas où ils sont. On avait vu dernièrement qu'on était un peu limite. On a failli crever, mais bien comme il faut, contre un espèce de scale de téléporteur là qui manipulait les ombres d'une façon, ma foi, assez classe. C'est qui? C'est la barre réelle, non?
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
Oui.
How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Alors on sait qu'elle a une relation avec Tom Elwood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Ouais.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Ouais, bon, ça nous apprend pas grand chose.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Alors, la nurse Hawkins.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes? Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins, but are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke, but we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
J'ai du mal avec elle, elle m'avait saoulé de toute façon.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
But you're doing something important here. For all the patients who need your help.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic, I feel so powerless.
Nouvel indice. Vraiment? Très intéressant.
What steps are you prepared to take to feel more useful?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is what I must do.
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
Quelle horreur. Ouais, indice requis. Bon.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Très bien. Ça a avancé un peu.
I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil with the fever.
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, doctor. Warm.
Ah, on l'a déjà vu ça, ok.
I'll leave.
Je l'ai pas reconnu en étant assise comme ça. Utilisation de l'ail et des pieux. L'ail ne vous protégera jamais contre ces créatures. Il est complètement inutile. Tu m'étonnes. Quoi? L'ail ne repousse pas les vampires, mais toutes les plantes fraîches peuvent leur faire du mal. C'est comme si leur corps ne pouvait pas supporter la présence d'éléments botaniques. J'ai vu un vulpé, enragé, prendre ses jambes à son cou après avoir été frappé par une rose. Ok, étrange. Mais ok. On a donc certaines faiblesses. Plus que je ne le pensais.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Mais encore elle!
Goodbye.
Arrêtez de bouger, bordel, j'arrive pas à poser les questions aux bonnes personnes.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening.
Ouais.
Goodbye.
Rien ici pour... il pourra nous avancer. Qui est-ce?
Good evening, Mr. Hampton.
Ah oui, Hampton.
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, Sora, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Bon, bah il en reste pas une très bonne situation quand même.
In the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know. The
Mais
sad
Clay
saint
Cox,
of the
il est pas
East End.
disparu?
No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Bizarre.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Bon. Il est en bonne santé, on dirait, lui. Pas grand-chose que je puisse faire pour lui.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton.
Bon. Ok. Continuons notre exploration.
I wish I could be sick again. I feel my blood boil with the fever.
Tiens. Qui es-tu, toi?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Ouh, on est sur du connard, dites-moi.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Nouvel indice disponible. Uh-huh.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon. And it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative, it is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. I don't know.
I don't.
And what? Be careful.
I only.
Knowledge.
It is not.
Ok, bon, bah, on est sur un connard, manifestement. Désapprouve la médecine moderne, j'ai envie de dire.
Thank you for your time.
Tu es complètement libre à toi de faire dans le chamanisme, mec, mais c'est moins pratique, c'est moins utile, là.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Non, bah, je préfère ça.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Ah, bah voilà quelqu'un de bien.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Ça va sans dire.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Bon, pas mal, une quête de plus.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Bon. Il me semble beaucoup plus sympathique quand même.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Strickland, c'est beaucoup mieux. Alors ici, qu'est-ce qu'on a? C'est qui ça?
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
Ah, Dorothy Crane.
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
Okay.
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
D'accord, c'est la joie.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
Ok, bon, bah, comme ça.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Bon, bah pas grand chose à apprendre sur elle, mais elle ne cache rien, on dirait.
I'll see you.
Ce qui est probablement pas le cas des autres nazes.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Ouais.
If you are going to lead this surgery, I'm trusting you to assume the consequences of your actions, whatever the result.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his responsibilities, Dr. Reed. There is no need for you to be looking over my shoulder.
Do you need my assistance?
Not at all. I'm sure that you are used to gaining people's trust with your impressive skills. Well, it will not be the case with me.
Ouais.
Thank you for your...
Ouais.
My sweet girl. This shift never ends.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Bah pas tout à fait encore.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
I'm all right. Considering the state of this place, I should consider myself lucky, I guess.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is, I disagreed about wood and nails, not flesh and bones.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Goodbye for...
Ok, bon, bah, on peut peut-être essayer de trouver l'autre docteur. C'est lui, pour lui en parler.
Evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Alors...
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Goodbye.
On va traiter ça pendant qu'on est là. Hop. Donc, machin. Tu m'as pas tout dit?
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
Ok. Bon, on a fait le tour pour l'instant. Allez, on va retourner voir l'autre loup. Ah, le téléphone, ça faisait longtemps qu'on n'avait pas appelé pendant que je tournais, dites-moi. On peut pas en rajouter, on dirait.
Tell me, Waverly. Are you...
On a déjà demandé tout ça. Mais du coup, qui choisit pour... C'est pas moi qui choisis pour savoir qui c'est qui fait l'opération? C'est ouf ça.
Good evening.
On dirait pas, hein. Bon.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fitting.
C'est un peu dommage, ouais. J'aurais bien aimé... Oh machin.
Good evening. And good evening.
Ouais, non.
Do you need my medical?
You don't have to worry about mead.
Ok.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Rien du tout, pour l'instant. Enfin, avec ces gens-là, en tout cas, rien du tout. On aura... Enfin, on sait qu'il y a un problème au niveau d'une... Comment d'une opération, mais à part ça, on sait pas grand-chose de plus. C'est la même piole, ça. C'est complètement la même piole. Ok. Alors... De l'opium, dites-moi.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Bon, on va terminer sur elle, hein, du coup. L'épisode est assez duré.
Brilliant professionals.
Un épisode tout en parlotte.
Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Ouais.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Ok.
Goodbye, nurse.
Bon. Eh bien, on aura progressé. Un peu. On va aller sauvegarder tranquillement, je pense. À l'étage, comme d'hab. On a fait un peu d'XP, pas beaucoup, parce qu'on a débloqué quelques indices, mais voilà, hein, ça n'a pas été très loin. Hop là. Il y a vraiment des trucs partout dans cet hôpital, c'est ouf. Je ferai peut-être quelques remèdes. Ça pourrait être une bonne chose. Voilà, on passe la nuit et on va donc arrêter là. J'espère que ça vous a plu. Oula. Chaque nuit, les conséquences de vos actes peuvent améliorer ou dégrader la situation. Plus vous tuez de citoyens dans un quartier, la situation sanitaire tombe. Ok. Je sais pas ce que c'est ça. Anémie. Traitement pour l'anémie. Clay Cox. Il est en galère, Clay Cox, manifestement. On regardera l'histoire de Clay Cox dès demain. Allez, à bientôt les gens.